Once we had completed our deliberations for the 2009 Picture Book Awards, the three of us were pleased to discover that all three of this year's Picture Book winners are perfect read-alouds for young children to enjoy. And here's the first one. Deeply asleep, Old Bear dreams of flower-filled springs, berry-filled summers, colorful autumns, and the icy winters of his youth. When he finally awakens, Old Bear and we, the readers, are delighted to discover that winter has ended and that the radiant spring he finds outside of his winter den is not a dream. Kevin Henkes' joyous watercolor illustrations are the perfect complement to this simply told, rhythmically paced story celebrating the cycle of the seasons. I am delighted to present a 2009 Boston Globe Hornbook Honor Book Award for Picture Book to Old Bear, published by Green Willow, an imprint of HarperCollins, edited by Virginia Duncan, and written and illustrated by Kevin Henkes.
Thank you. For years, I'd wanted to do a young picture book about the seasons, and I'd also wanted to do a book about dreams. Separately, the ideas never amounted to much, but then they combined somehow successfully in Old Bear. During the early writing stages of Old Bear, before he was a bear, I stumbled upon a box of plastic animals in our basement. My kids had outgrown the animals, but my wife and I hadn't been able to pass them on for sentimental reasons. As I sorted through them, I found several bears, and I thought that bears would be fun to draw. At that moment, things clicked for me. Hibernation, the changing of the seasons, dreams. The pieces of this particular book puzzle began to fall into place. Also, I owe Old Bear in part to knee surgery. I'd been a runner since I was 14. A few years ago, I had knee surgery. Not to be able to run was very difficult for me. Post-surgery, I had a recurring dream. I'd never had a recurring dream before. In the dream, a much younger me was running like a smooth machine, alone on a country road, under an immense, beautiful blue sky. I'd wake up happily only to realize that I couldn't run, and I wasn't so young. It was a terrible way to start the day. I will always think of Old Bear as my midlife, semi-crisis knee surgery book. And I know this is why I decided to depict Old Bear as a cub in his dreams. Rereading the last line of T.S. Eliot's poem, East Coker, reinforced this decision. Eliot writes, "In the end is my beginning." Shortly after I'd finished Old Bear, I came upon Dan Chiasson's poem, Man in Derailment. It goes like this. When the man took his son down the ravine to view along the opposite bank the pileup of a passenger train, backhoes and cranes, things the child had seen only in miniature, now huge, hauling life-sized train cars out of the deep ravine, inside his life-sized head, the quiet boy wondered how he would remember the scene, and once he knew his father better, later, and later knew himself better, what it would mean. What would it mean? What does it mean? A derailment surely holds different meaning for a boy than it does for a man. Everything does. And an adult writing and illustrating books for children thinks much about this gap, this difference between young and old. Interestingly, T.S. Eliot opens his poem with this line, "In the beginning is my end." Beginnings, endings, summer, winter, boy, man, young cub, old bear. These opposites are often more entwined than we first think. Old Bear looks back in his dreams and remembers as a cub. I am a man fast approaching 50 who often makes books for preschoolers, young, old, summer, winter. There is a sweet sadness inherent in this job as one gets older. But tonight, the sweetness dominates, and I thank you for honoring my Old Bear in such a wonderful way. Thank you.